Hi, today I'm doing a quick video on tools that I use for watch repairs, adjustments, battery changes, strap changes, things like that. So I'm just going to show you the tools that I use. I'm going to demonstrate some different kinds of watch strap adjustments and like what tools you should be using. I've got nothing special here. This is all stuff that's cheap as chips. Just to give you an idea, I bought this press off of eBay. It was about 12 or 13 quid, but I got a whole a half size version kit of this stuff, and it came with a case back remover. I don't recommend these unless the case back is actually quite loose, but it's in a pinch it's okay. It came with one of these little case back remover tool, doofer sort of pry bar thing. It also came with about 1,000,000 spring bars, really useful, screwdrivers, a case back removal tool like the big silver one here. It was about 15 quid. I only wanted this bit for pressing case backs and things. So that's that. My main toolkit is this one. I've added a couple of bits to this, but essentially you've got your case back remover, and this is the 3-prong type, and that comes with a little pot of all different bits, so you've got pretty much everything covered. You've got some little, they're just little round pokey devices for pushing out spring bars and things. We've got 3 slightly different size blade screwdrivers. We've got 2 different types of case back remover. This is a real sharp one. These are good for getting like bezels off and things like that, and case backs, and just general maintenance. And there's that other doofer one, like the yellow one I showed you earlier. It came with a spring bar removal tool, which has got a spring bar V shape on one end and a pointer on the other. And then there's another one that came with the other kit that I've got, so I've got them both in here. You get a couple of pairs of demagnetized tweezers, really handy when you're changing batteries and things and you're picking up stuff. Demagnetized tools is a must for watches. Then I've got a few Phillips screwdrivers there because they didn't come in the kit, so I've added them. A watch strap pin removal tool. Makes life really easy. This is a watch holder. You can put your watch in there, hold it. Obviously just a pair of pliers. In here there's a load of spring bars and little bits and bobs, and here these are a load more things to go in here. It also came with a little cloth as well, and obviously in this really nice case. This was about 20 quid, I think. I'll put a link to these 2 items in the description below, and you can go on to Amazon and purchase them. And even if all you've got is a watch with a screw down case back and you want to remove it, spend a little tiny bit extra money and get a removal tool like this rather than something like this, because it just makes life so much easier. I recently had a Tag Heuer ladies watch, so a very small watch, which a jeweller's couldn't get the back off, and I put this on and it got to the point where it was like shit or bust. Either something's going to break or we're going to get this off, and I managed to crack the case on it with this tool, and it's definitely will do the job, and it does it a lot better than those double ones. And they're so cheap, these things, that there's no point really. I've only got this in there because I've got it, and if you've got a case back that's a bit loose, that's okay, but I don't recommend these. So that's the toolkit really. Between all this and this, I've pretty much got everything covered. Specialist tools like, they do a version of this, which is in a bigger case, and you get a little hammer and also the tool for getting the hands off of watch dials and things like that. So I'll put a link to that in the description as well. And that's got pretty much everything you've got here, but with a couple of extras in as well, so you can choose whatever you want. But I would say as a minimum, this one, that's just a little paintbrush in there by the way, and some Polywatch, which is basically toothpaste. So yeah, I'd say this is kind of, if you just want to do battery changing, this is probably a bit over the top, but even for that, I just think they're so cheap, it's just not worth cutting back, and it makes life so much easier to use this. Batteries you can pick up, you know, cheap as chips nowadays. You're talking less than £1. So once you've got this, you know, this has paid for itself already a couple of times over, just in the few watches that I've changed batteries on. So I'm just going to quickly demonstrate. Okay, so I've got here some different types of strap, and I've used this one because this is a strap, but the links actually use spring bars as well, which is what you'd use just to take the strap off a normal watch. Okay, and one other tool I use is just a little Swiss Army knife with a nice sharp, very thin blade on it. The reason I use this is, and you have to be very careful with this, and you know, you can scratch the case with this. But the reason I use this is if you've got a watch that's got, so in there's a spring bar, but you can't get to it and there's no drilled holes there, so it's difficult to get there. I mean, this one's not too bad. So what you would use is your spring bar removal tool, and you would poke it in there and pry it away. Now, sometimes that's a bit difficult to get in if it's a hard rubber, but with a sharp knife like this, you can just get that in there, and see, you can pry it away. So I can see the spring bar there. I can just put that in and pop the spring bar, nice and easy, with a knife, as opposed to the spring bar removal tool, which is that one with the little sort of V shape in the end. So getting that in there when you can't see it is actually quite difficult, but if you're careful and do it with a knife, as you saw there, it's quite easy to do. So I'll just move that to one side now. I'll put that back on later. So that's the spring bars done. Now, this is also a strap with spring bars, and as you can see here, you can get to the spring bar there with your spring bar removal tool, or you can also, this has got drilled holes, so you can just poke in there. There you go, and that just pops out nice and easy. And these are easy to get back in. You can just use your fingernail or whatever and get that to pop. That's it, that's gone in now. So they're nice and easy when you've got these holes on the spring bars. Okay, so that's the first type. So another type is when you see these arrows, and this is a typical Casio sort of folded link bracelet, and you've got these blades, and I'm just going to pull one out to show you what it is, and then we'll show you how to get them out. Okay, so that's what's holding the, so this now, I hate these things. Oh, sorry, I've pulled out the wrong one, haven't I? Right, so that would hold the next link in. I should have pulled that one out. But anyway, that's what it is, just a little metal slidey thing. Now you'll see a little pip there, and that's what pops into that little hole. And obviously the arrow shows you which way to remove it. Now I'm just going to pop this back in. As you heard it pop there, and that's, if these are difficult to get in, you can just pop them on a press like this. So you just watch that. There you go, just pop that in. So these are really handy, not just for case backs and pushing out crystals and things. These are great for this kind of stuff as well. So they're both in now, and basically to get that out, I tend to just use a little screwdriver. You get it in there, and you just pop it out like that. You've got a little bit you can get a screwdriver or your nail under, and there you go. That's nice and easy to do those. So that's one style. Now there is another style that I haven't got here, where you would have a tiny little screw head in there, and obviously you unscrew it and take it out. That's, you know, that's easy to do. Now the other type is this, and sometimes you look at this and think, well, is that a screw head? Because there's a little line across it. We think, well, no, I'm not going to get a screwdriver in there, that's too fine. And then if you look at the other end, it's like, well, I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. Now what this is a, oh, that's brilliant, you can just see there, it's a split pin. So that is not a solid pin, that is a split pin. So that's a folded piece of steel basically, and it's just pushed in. Now the easiest way to get that out is either with something like this. You can force it, you can get that in there, and you can force it out like that, no problem at all. And then when you're putting these back in, you can just lay it down flat and just pop them back in like that. There you go. If they're a bit tricky to get out or a bit difficult, you can use this. Now this is just a really plasticky, cheapo thing, but they work brilliantly. And so say you've got one of those push pins that's a bit tight and you're struggling to get it out, you basically, so you worked out that the bit with the where it's folded there, so the bit that looks like a screw head, it's got to come out this way, so you need to push this way. So just put that in there, stick the pin in the hole, screw, and there you see it just pops straight out. Unscrew that, and there's your pin. And again, if it's a really tight fit going in, you can use your press. So I've just got a flat press on here, get on the end, sorry the dog wants to go out, pop it in, job done. So there you go. So that's really handy. So none of this is expensive, high quality stuff. Obviously, all of these things you could buy better versions of, but for your average sort of do it at home, working on, you know, I'm not sure I'd use some of the, well, I'd say luxury brands. You know, I'm not sure I would want to be messing around with a Rolex and things like that. But for your bog standard stuff, this is absolutely fine quality. I've used all these things quite a lot. Things like these ends bend, but they're replaceable and you always get loads of spares. And I'm not being funny, you could easily just buy another set if you break something or whatever. The spring bar removal tools that you get with these, as you can see there, that one's slightly damaged. They're not great, but again, they always give you spare ends in the box with these, and these are easy to buy and swap out. These just screw in, so you just buy new ends. You know, I know there are better makes, there's Bergeons and different things. I wonder if the Bergeon ends would screw into that, I don't know. But, you know, it is what it is. It's fine just for doing stuff at home. And yeah, I thoroughly recommend it. It's good fun, just messing about with stuff. You know, you have to be careful. It's easy to damage cases, and scratching cases is the main problem, especially if you're using a knife on something like this, like I did. I mean, I've done that before where I've scratched this bit of the case with the knife, but I was really struggling to get something off. Okay, so that's my my sort of review, and hopefully I might have given you some tips or at least some inspiration on doing a little bit of watch maintenance at home. I wouldn't suggest watch repair necessarily, but strap changes, getting case backs off watches, things like that are all things that can be done quite easily yourself with just a few cheap tools. So thanks for watching. I'd be grateful if you could like and subscribe, and also if you want to support the channel, you can use the PayPal me function, details in the description. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers, bye.